Our guest today is the president of the University of Notre Dame. He was ordained a priest in 1983. And one thing I learned from preparing this introduction, the students revere Father Jenkins. They did before the Obama controversy, and that controversy only deepened their affection for him. The Chicago Tribune editorial page editor, Bruce Dole, told me that the most profound words at the commencement belonged not to the president, but to Father Jenkins. He told me that our guest speaker today, number one, examined how a Catholic university can be a place for significant inquiry and be true to its faith. And number two, why Notre Dame has to fulfill both missions. Bruce went on to say, and I quote, "For my money, this was Father Jenkins' finest moment in the 4 years he has been president of Notre Dame University. Father Jenkins and Notre Dame honored President Obama and in turn earned a great measure of respect." Unquote. Ladies and gentlemen, the president of the University of Notre Dame, Father John Jenkins. Father?
Well, thank you for that very warm welcome, Jay, and generous introduction. It's a tremendous honor to be here. Chicago is special to Notre Dame in so many ways. It is the home of 10,000 Notre Dame alums, twice the number of the next highest concentration in South Bend, Indiana. And those 10,000 alums include 440 chief executives, 300 doctors, 200 teachers, and nearly 1,000 lawyers. We're actually working on reversing those last numbers. But it's such a tremendous honor for me to be here at this very distinguished organization, the City Club of Chicago, a civic organization I think that shares so much with Notre Dame, a zeal for ethics, for civic engagement, and for improving the world in which we live. And a special thanks, of course, to Jay Doherty, who worked so hard for so many years, has worked so hard to make this the organization it is. I want to also just thank Tom Donovan, I think, who was very important in initiating this invitation. I appreciate it, Tom. And all of you, such a distinguished group. I'm truly honored to be here with such a distinguished group here in Chicago. I want to mention one person in particular. I won't mention everyone who deserves mention, but Dick Savage is from the class of 1930 in Notre Dame, a 102-year-old, and the oldest living Notre Dame alumnus. Dick is right back here. Dick, just raise your hand. Thanks for coming out, Dick, and thanks for all of you. You know, when we asked, we were so honored to have this invitation, and someone on my staff, Francis Shavers, called Jay and asked, well, what should Father Jenkins speak about to the City Club of Chicago? And Jay said he could talk about anything at all. He could talk about Mickey Mouse if he wants to. Well, I did not take Jay's suggestion as an attempt to give me a topic that he thought appropriate to my intelligence and ability. I took it rather as an expression of the wide latitude he gave me to speak about what I wanted to. So I'm going to take advantage of that and speak about what is nearest and dearest to my heart, the special mission of the University of Notre Dame. 2008-2009 has been the most challenging year in the years I've been president at Notre Dame. We've had a financial crisis that has affected the lives of us all and had a huge impact on higher education. You may have heard we had a commencement as well. I don't know if you heard about that. There was some controversy about it, as you know. And I want to thank each and every one of you who supported me and supported Notre Dame and expressed that support. I appreciate it. And I also want to thank those who were opposed and expressed their thoughts clearly. I know that those who were opposed expressed their thoughts from a passion for Notre Dame and a desire to have the university live up to its highest ideals, and I appreciate that too. For me, the real heroes of our commencement were our students. In the midst of the frenzy outside campus and the media attention, they carried themselves well and engaged in a respectful interchange that should characterize any great university. Whatever you think of the invitation to President Obama, the discussion around it underscored for me the specialness of Notre Dame's mission. What other place could trigger such passionate debate? What other place could give rise to such a vigorous discussion of morality, faith, and public life? I'm speaking, of course, as someone who is and has always been staunchly pro-life. And I've spoken to those who are pro-choice, and I've tried to understand, I think I do understand, their concern for women in difficult situations with unintended pregnancies, perhaps with an abusive spouse, without the financial and emotional support that is so important. My point in bringing this up is the following, and I believe this strongly. The way ahead must be through dialogue. In today's political culture, a form of debate predominates that is more a matter of making one's opponents look stupid or evil. We live at a time when the President of the United States is called a liar from the floor of Congress in a formal address to Congress, when town hall meetings have turned into shouting matches. Time magazine this week featured anger and politics on its cover. Ours is becoming a culture of angry voices from the right and the left. We're listening to and respecting the other side is considered a form of weakness. Dialogue, on the other hand, is something different. It's marked by many acts of courtesy and gestures of respect, by listening carefully and speaking honestly. If you aim to persuade someone, you're hoping they will see something in a way they've never seen it before. A mind sees something new only when it's open, and it's open only when it's unthreatened. At his commencement address at Notre Dame, President Obama said, "Let's honor the conscience of those who disagree with abortion and draft a sensible conscience clause." He also said, "Let's work together to reduce the number of women seeking abortions." These statements surprised many listeners. The usual language from the administration was, "Let's work together to reduce the number of unintended pregnancies." The language at Notre Dame was different. It has expressed a shared value with an aspect of Catholic teaching. It included the possibility of helping pregnant women choose to keep their babies. It was not something we had heard before. President Obama's attempt to reach out and seek a middle ground was praised by Cardinal George and the Vatican newspaper. It created an opportunity, a new possibility, and I hope we build on it. Central to Notre Dame's mission is to be clear on one hand about its Catholic mission and how that mission shapes the life of the university, and at the same time, to be a place for reasoned, respectful, and responsible dialogue in a society that badly needs it. In a culture of incivility and information manipulation, the intellectual reaction is often to back away and view the chaos with detachment or cynicism, to retreat for us academics into the ivory tower. I see Notre Dame's mission as even more important in that it tries to be a place for constructive dialogue. We had the president at commencement, and there was also, at the same time, a mass on the quad for those who dissented. What's the role of a Catholic university in the 21st century? Pope John Paul II expressed its proper activity well. It is learning to think rigorously so as to act rightly and to serve humanity better. In a world that has become increasingly secular and more radically religious, Notre Dame is in a unique position at the heart of the most complex issues facing our society. We have not just the opportunity, but a duty to think, to speak, to act in ways that guide, inspire, and heal. Notre Dame's central goals are to offer our students, our undergraduate students, an unsurpassed education, to become even more a premier research university, and third, to ensure that our Catholic mission informs all endeavors of the university. Doing one of these things is a great thing. You'd be an important university if you did any one of those. If you did the first two, you'd be one of the handful of elite institutions in this country. But to strive to do all three, I think that is a unique mission, a unique role. And I hope we can achieve it. I want to say something about the research, the discoveries, the inquiries of our faculty, of which I'm very proud. I'll use some of our ads at halftime of the football games that we created to kind of tell this story a little better. Christian Smith. Christian is the director of the Center for the Study of Religion and Society. He was awarded a $5 million grant from the John Templeton Foundation to study the science of generosity. Generosity is so important to any healthy society in terms of time and resources. And it's been studied various aspects, but Professor Smith hoped to look at it as a whole and to find how that important activity can be sustained in society. Professor Kasturi Haldar. Kasturi is director of the Center for Rare and Neglected Diseases. Her team seeks to meet a need in healthcare arising from the economics of the market. The center is focusing on diseases that cause suffering and death across the globe, but unlike cancer, have been largely ignored by pharmaceutical companies simply because they cannot promise potential profit. I'll let her explain her work in her own words.
Every child has a hope to grow up to be a fireman, a cowboy, a ballerina. We saw those hopes, those dreams slip away from our children.
It's a horrible experience to watch your children die.
How about saying, I love you? I think she's done a touchdown, Dad.
Michael, can you give him 5?
Whoa! 3 of Cindy and Mike Parsegian's 4 children lost their lives to a disease called Niemann-Pick type C, an extremely rare neurodegenerative syndrome without a cure. At the University of Notre Dame, Dr. Kasturi Haldar works at the Center for Rare and Neglected Diseases, searching for a cure to this vicious genetic disorder.
Many rare diseases have no treatments, and so it's really like a death sentence. There's a gaping hole in healthcare that Notre Dame is uniquely positioned and very willing to fill.
As a premier research university, Notre Dame works in accord with the Lilly Foundation and the Ara Parsegian Medical Research Foundation, pursuing a cure for Niemann-Pick type C and other rare diseases often overlooked by mainstream science.
The university is seriously committed, the Catholic tradition is seriously committed to help people who are suffering the most.
Our children left us a legacy of hope, a legacy that will continue as we make progress in this disease.
We've met too many other families, too many other beautiful children who have Niemann-Pick type C and really need to be saved.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting for the lives of children.
We are the Fighting Irish.
I love those spots because they connect the research of our professors, often done in a lab, apart away from our vision with the actual human needs and issues they serve so effectively. Another professor, Peter Burns. Peter directs the Energy Frontier Research Center, which was established with a $18.5 million grant from the U.S. Department of Energy, Department of Science, and selected from a pool of 260 applicants as one of 46 centers that will impact the future of energy in this nation. It seeks to understand and control materials that contain actinides at the nanoscale to lay the scientific foundation for advanced nuclear energy systems that provide much more energy while creating much less nuclear waste. We're proud of our business school. It's adopted a new theme, ask more of business. Interested in finding a way to value stock options, that's important, but also teaching people how to be a place where how to be a place where individual integrity is at the heart of decisions, and in using the power of business to promote the greater good. Thomas Cork. Thomas is the Clark Chair of Aerospace and Mechanical Engineering, works with Boeing, headquartered here in Chicago, and other companies to increase engine efficiency, save jet fuel, and protect our natural resources. Here's a better explanation of his work.
My name is Julia Stevens. I'm 25 years old. I'm a third-year graduate student going for my PhD here at Notre Dame. The price of fuel, since I started driving, it's gone from less than $1 a gallon to $3.50 a gallon. Everybody's feeling it, and the airline industries are feeling it as well.
When you go to the airport and you realize the number of aircraft that are there and the amount of fuel that they use, become conscious of the impact this has on our consumable resources and fuel usage in this country and in the world. Julia's research involves making turbine in jet engines run more efficiently. A small improvement in the efficiency of the turbine has a significant improvement of the overall efficiency of the jet engine.
20 billion gallons of fuel is used a year. A 1% increase in efficiency would save 10% of that. And so if you can save 2 billion gallons of fuel a year, that's a huge savings for the planet.
Through the work being done at the Hessert Laboratory for Aerospace Research, the University of Notre Dame is intent on meeting industry needs for improving the performance of new and existing turbine engines. No fewer than 15 major corporations, including Boeing, Lockheed Martin, Honeywell, and GE, have committed funds toward the project.
It's incredible to be a part of the graduate program here at Notre Dame. They provide opportunities for us to work on problems that are facing our future. It's a great blessing to be a part of an institution that supports these things.
The University of Notre Dame asks, what would you fight for?
Fighting to protect our resources.
We are the Fighting Irish.
Thanks. I'm going to conclude by talking about our students, and I always do that because it's important to remember in the end, that's what it's all about. That's why we're here. That's why we're there at Notre Dame, to serve them. We have such a talented group of students, 2,065 freshmen from over 14,000 applicants. 12% were valedictorians or salutatorians. 18 had perfect scores on their SAT. 87% were in the top 10 of their class. And it's a diverse group. 82% are Catholic, but from 50 states. 23% are ethnic minorities. 3% international from 23 countries. And they're an impressively talented group. 11% were class presidents in their high school. 51% were active in music, art, or drama. 85% involved in community work. 78%, unsurprising, lettered in one varsity sport for Notre Dame. 35% captain of their athletic team. Indeed, there were 9 sets of twins in that group. With such great material, we better not mess things up. One of the things we're most proud of at Notre Dame is that we take such talented young people and they become people who are generous. Over 80% of our students do some form of voluntary service while at Notre Dame, and 10% of our graduates go into some form of voluntary work for at least a year. I want to tell you about a couple students, perfectly randomly selected, as you'll see. Brennan Bowman was our 2009 valedictorian. She is had a 4.0 in biological sciences and is now at Harvard Medical School. I actually knew Brennan since her freshman year, and I didn't have her in class. I had no idea she was such a sharp student. But what always struck me about her was her warm heart and her generous smile. She's just a person of a great heart. And we have a short clip on Brennan that we're going to show you.
With her red hair and Irish first name, senior Brennan Bowman seemed destined to flourish at Notre Dame. But that may be an understatement, because Bowman has been named valedictorian of the 2009 graduating class. She earned a 4.0 grade point average as a biological studies major and peace studies minor.
From the start of my time here, I was just able to go into classes and really dig into the topics of those classes and explore things, but then carry that beyond the classroom.
While at Notre Dame, she conducted field work in Léogâne and Port-au-Prince, Haiti, for Notre Dame's Haiti program for the elimination of lymphatic filariasis. Bowman also participated in the Summer Service Learning Program twice, first at a Catholic worker women's emergency shelter in New York, and later in Cambodia, where she taught courses on current world affairs to Cambodian university students.
I think I'm most proud of being able to develop a passion here. And for me, this has been service and social justice issues, locally and globally.
Bowman received the 2008 Yarrow Award from Notre Dame's Kroc Institute for International Peace Studies in recognition of her outstanding academic performance and service. She plans to attend medical school in the fall.
It is a great honor, but I'm really only one of many incredibly engaged, intellectually curious, passionate, compassionate people here.
Another student, Katie Washington, is a native of Gary, Indiana, the daughter of a physician. She currently also has a 4.0 GPA. It's not great inflation. These happen to be really sharp students. She's a great singer, and I'd like to just speak about her by reading her own words, just talking about her life and experience at Notre Dame. I grew up in Gary, Indiana, which is very different from Notre Dame in a lot of ways. The population of my hometown is about 90% African American, and post-industrial urban poverty has not been kind to us. Even after my acceptance to Notre Dame, I doubted my academic abilities because the Gary Community School Corporation gets so much bad press for inadequate and dilapidated facilities and standardized test scores that are consistently below acceptable state levels. However, after my visit to Notre Dame in the spring of 2006, I knew I had to come to Notre Dame and give myself every opportunity to prove myself wrong. I decided that from the day I stepped on campus as a freshman, I'd live by Father Soren's quote that was printed on the back of the T-shirt I was given during my visit. Let no one ever again say that we dreamed too small. Now, as a senior, I almost can't believe the remarkable things that have happened to me. I opened up myself to a diverse array of unconventional and unexpected experiences. I'm not Catholic, but my minor in Catholic social tradition in conjunction with the Center for Social Concerns has given me a remarkable vocabulary and a conceptual framework for thinking and speaking about the concrete problems like domestic and global poverty. When I got to Notre Dame, I was hoping to become a physician and open a private practice. Now, after conducting independent research projects in infectious disease and lung cancer, I'm planning to matriculate into an MD, PhD program so that I can connect with my own patients and have the skills to address the greatest challenges in modern medicine with biomedical research. With these kinds of students, we better aim high. They and young people like them are the hope for our future. I hope this presentation gave you some sense of our work at Notre Dame, and I thank you for listening. Integrating our Catholic character with academic excellence is the special mission of Notre Dame. Building on our tradition as a Catholic university, Notre Dame strives to provide an alternative for the 21st century, to be a place of higher learning that plays host to world-changing teaching and research, but where technical knowledge does not outrun moral wisdom, where the goal of education is to help our students become good human beings. We strive to build a community generous to those in need and responsive to the demands of justice, strengthened by grace and guided by the command to love God and our neighbor. It's no easy mission, but in the words of Father Soren, which inspired Katie Washington and it still inspires many of us, let no one ever say again that we dreamed too small. Thank you for listening, and I'll be pleased to answer any questions you have. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
I think we can all thank Father Jenkins one more time. Let's hear it. There has been extensive preparation of some questions.
Good. I'm ready.
This is not the 13th century, but you will get some questions. Okay. All right. Let's just start with, I have a question here. This is a nice short question, so we'll start with this one. What is Notre Dame's involvement in the local South Bend community?
I'm glad you asked that. One of the things that we recognize is that we only progress as a university insofar as our community is strong. And South Bend, as you may know, it's a community that was, like many, it's in the Rust Belt. It was, Studebaker was there, it left. I think it's struggling for a new industry a bit. But it's a wonderful community. And what we've done is worked with the community to build some commercial activity near campus. If you've been to campus, you've seen that in this time of recession is very welcome. But we've also have, Tom Burrish, our provost who's here, has worked very hard on this, created an innovation park that hopes to take the discoveries of the professors, you saw about Professor Cook and others, to take those ideas and to move them to a commercially viable business. So that, you know, the Innovation Park will kind of be an incubator for those ideas. And I hope that will create some new industry for an area that really does need it. So our success is their success, and we're working closely with the local community.
We've got questions coming in from all directions. That's great. Thank you. All right. Now this is from Kate O'Malley, a Notre Dame graduate, class of 1986. I applaud your leadership regarding that you described in your speech. You wrote to alumni that Notre Dame will focus on ways to increase adoption alternatives. Are you open to including adoption of currently frozen embryos, many of which may otherwise be discarded?
What we're doing, what I've done is sort of create a task force of faculty and students on it to kind of think about all these issues around adoption and related issues. And they're working on that. Adoption is, as that question indicates, it's complicated. It's a very complicated issue. And we hadn't thought about that particular issue. It's something we'll think about. What I expect, what I hope, is that we'll have some conference, some way to have a discussion about this. I think that would be valuable for this country, valuable for people who share a concern for life. So I don't have an answer to that question, but what I will say is those are some of the things we'll be talking about.
Terrific. Thank you. We're going from cell biology to legal process now. Several questions about the Notre Dame 88, and I think I can sort of summarize them, but I'll go to this one from Preston Knoll. Question is, having read your response to some people who have sent you emails and discussed this issue of the Notre Dame 88, I think, is everybody here aware of that situation? The Notre Dame 88 are some people who were protesting around the time of the commencement, and they're now facing some charges out in South Bend, and it's an issue out there. The arrest of the so-called Notre Dame 88, even though I understand that technically the prosecutor brings charges and not Notre Dame, might you call a press conference and ask that those charges be dropped?
I'm glad you asked that question. Just a few facts. I mean, we did have demonstrations on campus during the graduate, as I mentioned, and there was a mass for those who were protesting. So it was possible to demonstrate, but we wanted to make them more, as every demonstration, you need to say, we're going to do this at this time, and it needs to be approved in advance, and that's true every day for every demonstration at Notre Dame, and that's what we did. And so the issue is these 88 people engaged in demonstrations that were outside the approved area and place and manner. They were asked to leave. They chose not to, so they were arrested, and it is with the prosecutor. I'll say this about that. In the 1960s, Father Hesburgh had a famous 15-minute rule about Vietnam War demonstrations, about if you were there, you were given 15 minutes to disperse if your demonstration was disorderly. If not, you were expelled. And there were people expelled for that. And I'm sure that his concern was not a lack of sympathy with the demonstration. It was rather with maintaining order. And that's the issue with these people. Now, we have been in contact with the prosecutor, and we've urged leniency. What the prosecutor has done, he's offered them, I'm not going to get into the legal technicalities, a pre-trial diversion, which is in essence, will allow them to walk away without even a trial or anything on the record. And I hope they take that. I really think that's a generous offer, an appropriate offer. I'm not going to, I think for Notre Dame to make a public statement would not be fair to the prosecutor. I mean, the prosecutor is doing his job, he's working hard, and for us to tell them what to do would undercut, I think, his very appropriate negotiation with the people. So I think we'll resolve it soon. I hope the protesters will take the generous offer of the prosecutor, and we'll move beyond this. It's not our intention or desire to, have anyone prosecuted in any way that's vindictive in any way at all. So I'm sorry for that long-winded answer. It's a little complicated, but that's where we stand on that. And I don't think I should make a statement. I mean, it's with the prosecutor. I think for me to tell him how to do his job would be inappropriate. We've had private discussions. We'll continue those private discussions. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Father. We've got a couple more. We'll just try and get these in because we know how important they are to the community, the Notre Dame community. This is from a parent. Okay. And it's about university presidents. They go from, higher order issues about philosophy to, does the plumbing work in the dorms? And this is right in there. Let me tell you. How would you suggest we deal with the increased problem of binge drinking on campus? Could or should universities, and specifically the University of Notre Dame, reestablish curfews in residence halls? Could or should tailgating and the presence of alcohol consumed by alumni and parents be discouraged or prohibited? And I think we have someone here who went to Notre Dame when parietals were still in force.
They are still in force, but yeah, this is, it's something we kid about, but it is a serious problem. I think I worry that kids' lives can really be messed up, either some traffic accident or really they could just go off, off the tracks because of drinking. So it is something we're very aware of. Our philosophy at Notre Dame is not to have a dry campus or say you can't do that because, first of all, I don't think we'll be successful. I mean, you got kids. They tend to sort of do, if they're going to do something, they tend to do it. And so our philosophy is more to confront behavior that's problematic when it arises. In the dorms, if someone is obviously intoxicated, if they're having trouble because of alcohol, we bring them in, and we're pretty tough with them. And hopefully that can help them to learn to drink responsibly, because that's really the goal. In a way, sort of draconian measures to stop drinking, in a way, that doesn't get at the heart of the problem. The heart of the problem is to get people to learn to be responsible. So we have a lot of efforts in that regard. We do work very hard at this. And actually, we've seen some decrease in it, some control. It's not over yet, but it's something we do think about and try to confront and help people work through issues so they can become responsible in this regard.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Just two quick questions. First one, maybe this is not so quick, but Father, can the University of Notre Dame help educate the public and journalists about the distinction between adult stem cell research and embryonic stem cell research?
I'm looking at Jan Bunce, who's our VP for communication. We do adult stem cell research at Notre Dame, and it got great medical promise. It does not involve the destruction of an embryo. I think in the long run, it's the solution to this problem. But I think the questioner rightly points out that if you talk about stem cell research, people assume you're talking about embryonic stem cell research. And so it's something where we actually have one of these ads about our adult stem cell research work, and there's a lot of nervousness that people won't understand the distinction and think we're doing embryonic stem cell research. So I don't have we'll work on it. Let me just begin with this group. They're two different things. And adult stem cell research does not involve a destruction of an embryo. It's totally consistent with Catholic thinking, and it's the future of medical practice in this area. And we should do more of it, not less of it. So.
All right. Well, we're speeding into our last lap right now, and I've got to end in a happy place. Before concluding for the afternoon, I've got the kind of question that you're going to appreciate. How, and I'm vibing a little on your text here, Chris, how daily does the work of Cardinal Newman and his idea of the Catholic university, obviously Catholic, inspire you daily in your apostolate?
I don't know who asked that question. It's a great question. I studied at Oxford, where Newman kind of intellectual home was, and there's really no greater Catholic thinker. I mean, I think he's the most underrated Catholic thinker, and I just in many ways, I hope in ways, maybe ways I'm not even conscious of, this sort of the best of the Catholic tradition in being committed to the highest level of inquiry, serious inquiry, rigorous inquiry, open inquiry, and to be inspired by faith. I think daily, no one has articulated for the modern world that better than Newman, and it's something I think about a lot. So thanks for the question. It's a great question.
Terrific. And And we want to say thank you, Father Jenkins, and we do so not just with words, but with deeds. And let's see what those deeds are. You are now, for the Notre Dame Library, which was depicted in some of your TV commercials, we've got the City Club of Chicago, a centennial history. You can't have a complete academic library without that. And now we're going to say thank you and give you a 1-year free membership in the City Club. And we even found something that is beneath the requirements of any disclosure form for Her Honor, who's sitting here at the head table. This is a City Club of Chicago mug. Let's hear it for Father Jenkins.